Warning, the following podcast contains spoilers. So if you don't want to know that Bigfoot impregnates a woman, stop listening now.
The International House of Horror.
Welcome, everyone, to the International House of Horror podcast, a low-budget podcast for low-budget horror movies. I'm your host, the Mad Pancaker, and sitting across from me is none other than Scary Perry.
Hello.
Now, we had to have a brief hiatus because poor Scary Perry's terrible mustache over there wasn't doing so good, so he had to have terrible mustache surgery, and unfortunately, they didn't make it look any better, but is that mustache all healed up now, though, Perry?
It's all healed up.
All right.
Sexier than ever, baby.
Yeah, well, that's debatable. But glad to have you back, and glad to be back on schedule, so we'll be a bit behind on some of these things here, but we'll try to get caught up. I'm not sure if we'll be able to squeeze out 2 other December episodes, but we're going to make up our Thanksgiving episode here, so try to get that one out of the way. We'll play it by ear, and I'll keep you posted. First off, let's get into our hotcakes of the week, and I'll lead off by doing the usual plugs here. So you can follow us on social media. On Facebook, I'm the Mad Pancaker. Same on Instagram. And you can find our Patreon at patreon.com/themadpancaker, and you can help support us there. And I am proud to announce we have our first patron on Patreon. And shout out to AJ Sabino, our first patron on Patreon.
Oh,
now,
I like that name.
for those who don't know, AJ is my brother, and he's a great guy, and I'd like to thank him for everything he's done to help out the podcast. He created our logo that you see, so he's working on banners, so I don't have to keep using the regular square or circular logo version for banner titles. Can get a banner, so you can find him. He's also does illustration work at I believe AJ Sabino Illustration on Facebook, so you can follow him there. He's a great guy, and AJ, feel free to send me that bill for all this work I've been doing for you. I know it ain't free and it's time consuming, but let me know and we'll square up. You got any hotcakes real quick over there, Perry, before I start on my next one?
It's not really horror related, but
Oh boy.
I've watched recently Squid Game.
Yeah, that's kind of like a thriller. It kind
It
of
has like a
fits into the category.
survival aspect. Yeah, you could kind of lump it in there. I really enjoyed it.
You did? I've heard good things
I
about
recommend it. I recommend it to you. You can use my Netflix account. You cheapskate. What?
Hey, that's why I got the Tubi. It's free.
That's why I got the Tubi. No, but yeah, I really enjoyed the show. Because I started trying to watch it like when it was real popular. And I don't know, I just watched like half of the first episode. I'm like, yeah, this is weird. But if you stick it out, it gets better and better. And I know they're going to have to do future projects with that because it's so successful.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, so that's cool. Flip back to me here, so I got another hotcake for you guys. So if you know me, I'm a big Resident Evil fan. So recently, I just backed on Kickstarter the Resident Evil board game. This is from Steamforged Games, I believe is the name of the company, if I remember correctly. They're a United Kingdom-based company.
I've heard of them. I think they make some good stuff.
Yeah, they make a lot of good stuff, and I know they also get a lot of licensed products for the board games. I think they were doing a Devil May Cry board game. I think they might have been doing a Dark Souls board game. I can't remember. I remember seeing, they send me emails for stuff. They first did the Resident Evil 2 board game. They didn't have rights to do the first one, so they did RE2 first. They recently did an RE3 one, and I recommend both of those.
So now they got the license again.
Yeah, they got the rights to do the first video game, so, well, you know, it was like the good old Fry from Futurama gif, you know.
Take my money.
Yep, shut up and take my money as soon as they announced it, so. And not a plug, you know, I'm not getting paid by any of these people. I wish I was. Trust me, could quit my job faster.
Every company we mention and show, we get paid.
No, God,
It doesn't
I
work that way?
wish.
Darn it.
No, unfortunately, but I just recommend it because I know I like it, and so it's not on Kickstarter right now. You can probably do late pledging right now is probably what it's in, because I think it ended like at the end of October, but just got around to talking about it now. So, and I'll throw this in here too, since it's been a while. This was supposed to come out the 23rd of November, but obviously got pushed way back because of everything going on. J-Bones, as a birthday gift to me, he took me to see the new Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City movie.
Yeah, I was going to come with you guys, but my mustache was killing me.
Yeah, poor Perry's mustache. At least it's good now.
What'd you think of the movie, though?
Oh boy, it was kind of a hot mess. I mean, I liked what they tried to include with the video game, but a lot of it also felt forced. At least it seemed like they cared about trying to include stuff in the video game, but there's also just a lot of weird, like, backstory elements that weren't in the video games that just weren't needed. And for being a modern movie, like, the CGI looked bad in some spots, like really bad. I mean, there was a lot of good practical effects in it, which was nice, but there was obvious like CGI pieces that just didn't work. Like the liquor looked really bad. It was cool they used a lot of the locales. They made a lot of the locales look like the actual video game in parts. Like the police station lobby looks like the lobby from Resident Evil 2. The mansion lobby looks like the mansion lobby from RE1. But then they just didn't quite follow through. Like the rest of the police station looks nothing like it. So, and the same with the mansion. Like none of the other rooms line up. There's other references to the game. And they use a lot of the characters, but like other than other than Chris and Claire, like none of the other characters really look like the other characters from the game. And I understand, that's not like you're never going to get somebody at 100% look like it. And like the problem with a lot of the previous franchise for the Resident Evil movies, like they got people that look like the characters, but they didn't follow, like I've only seen like the first two, so I'm just going on what I've heard from other people. Like they don't act like the characters, they just got people that looked like the characters. So
okay.
At least in the old movies. In this one, they didn't even try to get people to look like him. Like, I know a lot of people like criticize the casting of Evangelia as Leon, and I'm a big this isn't horror related, but I'm a big Victorious fan of the Teen Nick show.
Definitely a horror series on Nickelodeon.
Yeah. But so he played the one guy Beck in it, and I liked his performance in there. But in here, it seems like he's just playing Beck. If Beck from Victorious became a police officer, that's his personality of his character. And they also made Leon way wimpy, like he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I mean, yeah, he's a rookie, but he still went through the academy and everything, so he's a headstrong rookie in the video game. Whereas now he just like doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, and everybody makes fun of him for it.
Would you say that this movie is better than the other movies?
Probably. I mean, the first one, while I don't like a lot of the elements that it doesn't follow the first video game, it just kind of does its own thing and just uses a few elements from the games. That one's probably okay. I think I like this one better, but as a whole, these still aren't great movies. I think this one was just kind of a dumb, fun popcorn flick. Like, it has its moments, but it was also because of, the worldwide pandemic going on. There was not as many crew and extras on this, and it was a little more low budget, so there's not like a whole lot of zombies in it. I mean, they kind of do tricks to just make it look like there's more zombies, especially in the city. And they also kind of like set Raccoon City as this dying ghost town because the Umbrella Corp moved out, which is different from the video game. The town's actually pretty thriving in the game, but I think they did that to, again, get around the pandemic restrictions, and so they don't need as many crew and extras, because you'd need a lot more zombies, walking the street and extras to hire. But so that was a bit disappointing, and they really should have just done 2 movies, because they try to incorporate elements of the first video game and the second video game, and they sprinkle in like teasers for like Resident Evil 3 and Code Veronica in there, but they're just like little like Easter eggs. There's enough material in each game to make one movie about. I don't know why they had to try to jam 2 games into one movie, which is essentially what they did. So if you go into it just looking for dumb, stupid action, there's some funny moments in it too. It's okay, but that's about all I can say about it. It's just okay.
Seems like a lot of video game adaptation movies are swing and a miss.
Yeah, they all can't be Street Fighter or Double Dragon.
I mean, those are yours. Mine is Super
Super
Mario Brothers live action. I love that movie. I don't care. Casting, whatever. The casting is great. It's a great actresses. I love that movie.
But
I'm still waiting on a sequel, but rest in peace, Bob Hoskins, excuse me, and Koopa, whatever. I can't think. I'm losing my name.
Dennis Hopper?
Yeah, Dennis Hopper.
Dennis
Yeah.
Hopper. I'm the Lord of the Harvest.
There might be more too.
But I think that was Dennis Hopper. God, I hope I didn't screw that one up.
Was Dennis Hopper in a movie we watched?
Well,
No.
he's in a horror movie. Yeah, it's Dennis Hopper. I'm the Lord of the Harvest. Yeah, I don't think you've seen that movie. It's also got
I've
an
seen
Oingo
Who
Boingo
Framed
song in it.
Roger. Wow, I can't even talk today. My mustache is in the way. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
It's growing too fast. It's like the
Bob
plants and
Hoskins. Am I saying
and,
his name right? I feel like I'm saying it wrong.
it's like the plants and Creepshow. Yeah, Bob Hoskins. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Bob Hoskins and Hook. You know, he's Shmee and Hook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
But yep, rest in peace. If I had to give it a grade, I guess I'd probably give it like a 2.5. Like I said, it's if you want a dumb popcorn flick, it's okay. Also, they like all the male characters
So
are
it's
just
like,
kind of dumb in it, and like the female characters are like, "Whoa, look at me, I'm awesome!" And I'm like, okay, the female characters in Resident Evil are awesome, but so were the male characters. Come on now.
Is this like the action that was like awesome though?
Yeah, well, there is like one dumb scene in the mansion where it's like so fucking stroby and dark, like you can't tell what the fuck's going on. Like if you would have told me that Chris Redfield got bit like 6 fucking times in that scene by zombies, I would have believed it because you could not tell what the fuck was going on. I don't know whose fucking stylistic choice that was, but
So it's like The Predator. It's like cheesy as hell, but the action scenes it's just so
Predator, like with
no,
Arnold.
no, not Schwarzenegger.
Oh god,
The
I was
latest
gonna say,
one.
Okay,
The Predator. I think it's called The Predator.
I haven't seen it, so I'll have to take your word on it that it's just got dumb
It's
action.
just batshit crazy that
Yeah.
it's so batshit crazy it's good. I mean, it's not late. I
So-
mean, it's like 3 years ago, but yeah.
And well, like I said, I don't think Avon Jogia was played Leon right. I think he was played the character how he is told to, and I think he did a good job acting. But like I said, I feel like it was just him playing Beck as a police officer in Raccoon City. But I like the actor, so I kind of give him a pass. I know other people wouldn't. A lot of people said he'd be perfect at playing Carlos, which I kind of agree with the getup he had. Carlos from Resident Evil 3. I know you're not familiar with the Resident Evil video game series as much as I
I've
am.
only played 2, yeah.
So Carlos kind of had like the scraggly hair and like the mustache goatee motif a little bit. I don't know if he actually had a mustache, but he had the scraggly hair, so people have made that comparison, and I kind of agree there. Although I'm pretty sure he's Canadian, not Mexican at all, so it's kind of funny that everybody wants him to play this Latino character. But
Oh, boy.
but yeah, probably like a 2.5. So
Yeah.
all right, I got a few more. So you got any more hotcakes?
Real quick, Squid Games. I give 4 out of 5 cannolis. All right.
All right. And so I mentioned previously in a hotcake that I picked up Night of the Animated Dead. So I got around to watching it.
Oh,
And
boy.
so I was mistaken, though. This is not, so I was confused on previously. Night of the Living Dead Reanimated was a project where they took the old voice and then used the dub, the score, different artists drew cartoon scenes around it to go with the score of the movie. I think it's on Tubi. I added it to my list. I don't know if it's still on there. But it was something I meant to get around to watching anyways. This is something different. This was a new project, and oh man, is it not good. I think voice acting decisions were questionable. The animation is hot garbage at times. Like, characters barely move at times. The backgrounds are just terrible looking. The character designs and looks are okay, except for maybe Ben. Like, he's kind of got, I don't know, I feel like they screwed up his hair. Looks like he has a perm, and I'm like, what the fuck? That's not how Ben's hair looks like. Oh man, it's almost like they were trying to do like Archer style animation, but it just doesn't look as good, and the characters don't move as much, and you could tell they were trying to be limited on what they had to animate.
Maybe they didn't have a big budget.
Maybe. And they like tried to be like, ooh, we added in new scenes, and all they did was add in a scene showing Ben's experience at the diner, which doesn't even sound like how he describes it, because from how he describes it, it sounds like he was inside the diner having dinner, or lunch or whatever, breakfast. And when the zombies came out, because he talked about how they were rounding him up into trucks, and none of that happens in the scene. He's just walking down the road, and all of a sudden there's a ton of zombies in front of him at this diner, and it's ridiculous. I feel like the Mr. Cooper voice actor did a good job, even though he doesn't sound like him. But other than that, and one thing they did, they like ramped up some of the gore in it for like when things get shot. That's like the only thing. It's like, ooh, that was like what they spent their money on. Although I'll give them credit, the car doesn't just like explode. I mean, the engine does explode, but it's not like a huge Michael Bay explosion. It's like more like what you expect from like a gas tank going up and just kind of boom, and like the engine explodes and like sends shrapnel that kills them, and then the car slowly catches on fire, as opposed to the giant explosion in the other where the car is just completely engulfed in flames. So yeah, I'm not even sure what I would have to give this one, but I think I would have to. It's just not good. Like I can't recommend it because of the animation. Like it's like only a curiosity piece. So maybe 2, and that might be pushing it. Maybe even like 1.5 pancakes. If we actually had to sit down and review this, I'd have to like think about it. But it's somewhere in the 1.5 to 2 range. It's very disappointing the quality of the animation, especially for being a newer piece.
It's on Chud level.
Yeah, it's probably worse than Chud.
Oh boy.
Just because like the animation's bad. And I would have been fine if it was just a complete complete animated telling of the story, like beat for beat, because that's almost what it is, but they do like cut a few things and add in a few things, but they only really add in the diner scene, that's about it. And it's also weird, like the score is not as good. The score is like more like a newer horror movie type score where there's not a lot of music and like it's mostly like ominous, really low like ominous sounds and stuff. So kind of disappointed in that because the score in the other one, while being like mostly stock music, was at least very fun and it went with the movie. So yeah, there was that. And then I got one more hot cake before we can dive into today's feature film because like I said, there's a lot of movies and who knows when we'll get around to these. So while I also watch stuff for the podcast, I also just, when I just want to chill out, I try to watch some movies. So, and who knows when we'll get around to doing a deep dive into them. But there's this curious film I found on Tubi.
Okay.
It's a zombie film from the 80s and it's called Flesh Eater. And what caught my eye on it was the director. The director is billed as S. William Heinzman, which for anybody familiar with your zombie history, you'll know that Bill Heinzman was the first zombie ever of your modern age zombies appearing in Night of the Living Dead, the original with George A. Romero. So Heinzman made his own zombie movie and even plays like the head zombie in it. Again, almost like a reprisal of his role. It's a very interesting film. I mean, it's clearly low budget. Some of the practical effects are bad, but I mean, others are good. There's a lot of blood and stuff, and it's kind of fun. There's titties, of course, so it's got that going for it. But it's kind of an interesting piece because I never even heard about this. I don't know if it was like some unreleased film that just came up. I think I read a little bit about it and probably was like a direct-to-video thing. Because there's another movie I watched, I won't include as a hotcakes, that I just recently watched that was literally like this unreleased film that stars Joe Pilato and stuff that I watched, and Tom Savini, that was actually unreleased until like maybe within the past decade, that was from like the 70s or 80s that just came up out of the blue. So I don't know what the history behind it is. I think the title card also billed it as Flesh Eater. The subtitle was like something of the Living Dead. It wasn't like Return of the Living Dead, but it was kind of something similar like that, or Revenge of the Living Dead. So playing off the fame of that. It was interesting. It was a fun little time. Like, it wasn't great, but it was definitely better than the previous 2 movies I talked about. So it's probably at least a 3 pancakes, maybe 3.5. I don't think I'd go quite putting it in the classic range of 4, but it was definitely a hidden gem and worth watching, especially if you like zombie stuff and the history of that. And with that, I think we're all out of hotcakes here. And speaking of which, we've been out of hotcakes for a while because that goddamn Delorese won't bring us our fucking pancakes.
Delorese, where's my shirt stack?
Be like a no stack by the time it gets here. Be fucking cold as shit. Tell J-Bones to get up working on that in the kitchen. Anyways, on to today's film that we're reviewing. So we'll be reviewing a 1987 slasher flick called Blood Rage.
You mean Nightmare in Shadow Woods?
Or Nightmare in Shadow Woods, as it was originally released at. And it was heavily censored at that when it was released as that.
Wait, you mean Slasher?
Hold on, well, we're not that far yet. Give us a moment.
What?
Yeah, we're not that far yet. Give us a moment.
All right, fine.
So the reason why I chose this film is because it's a Thanksgiving slasher, so it's proof that there is a slasher for every holiday.
Oh boy, is it ever.
And so obviously doing themed episodes for the season, so slashers are kind of easy low-hanging fruit for episode picks because there's always like, oh, what time of the year is it? Oh, it's Valentine's Day coming up. Oh, we can do My Bloody Valentine, stuff like that. So I apologize for all the slasher picks lately. It's just so easy when you have a holiday, and
We love slasher movies.
Oh, slashers were great. They were a mainstay of the 80s too, which is one of my favorite periods of 80s horror. With Christmas coming up, I do apologize. We'll probably have some more slashers. We could have went like a Gremlins direction and did like that, or a Krampus, but we decided against that. We tried mixing it up. Well, Perry mixed it up, and then I went with a film that I definitely knew we were going to review at some time.
Yeah.
If we get to it, I might have to cut that one out and skip it just for, because, geez, I'll have to put out like 3 episodes in December just to catch up. And so we might have to skip the second Christmas episode, which I'd be fine with, but we'll figure it out. Or you'll just have to excuse me for the editing quality on these. I might have to skimp on the editing a little bit, leaving a lot of the stuff I try to cut out to make the like shit right here where I try to cut it out to make it flow smoother. But hopefully after the, like, I know I got some theme months coming up. Like, I want to do Zombie, so we can finally review some zombie movies. So yeah, hopefully, like I said, Zombie will probably be a zombie-themed month. I know that's a cheesy pun there, but I know other people do Giallo-wary, but I don't want to do that because other people use.
Come on, Rocker, remind me. I came up with one.
Oh, you came up with one? It was really bad pun-wise, too.
It was amazing. People loved it.
People? I think you just told it to me.
No, there's people.
But, like, I know other people do Universal, so I don't want to, like, steal other people's bits.
I don't remember.
For, like, but Zombie I came up with on my own. If somebody else has done that, well, too bad. Well, that's okay, because I made because one YouTuber I watched made a same joke I did for about Tales from the Crypt, so the nightmare becomes reality. Anyways, back to this film. So it's directed by John Grismer, and he's directed a few other horror pieces too. It stars Luis Lasser.
Oh,
so funny story. So I mean, I didn't include this as a hot cake because I might save it for the Christmas episode because I'm trying to split up stuff between the hot cakes. She was in a movie I watched lately, and the other reason I might not talk about it is just because it's horror adjacent. Like, it's not really a horror movie to be listed as like a comedy thriller horror, which it's not really horror. It's more like a comedy thriller. A film called Crime Wave, directed by none other than Sam Raimi. I believe it's his second film, and starring our buddy Scott Spiegel as playing various roles, and Bruce Campbell. But Luis Lasser is in it. So, or is it Lois Lasser? It has the E on it. Do you think it's Luis or Lois? I think it's Luis.
I don't know.
So it stars her, but
I'd say Louise, yeah.
Yeah, again, me fucking up names. Go figure. Yeah, so that was a fun little film, but that made me think of it. I'm watching and I'm like, wait a minute, that's the mom from Blood Rage. I thought that was funny because I didn't even know she was in it, and that movie's been on my list of things to watch for a while. So it also stars Mark Sopper, Marianne Cantor, who's also the producer.
I just read something of it.
Julie Gordon, and
she used to be married to Woody Allen.
Marianne Cantor?
No.
Luis Lasser.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it also stars Ed French. He might play a role in it, but he's definitely the makeup artist. So I put that in parentheses, because I think I might have mixed it up.
Yeah, I was looking at his filmography. He's
done a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Creep Show too.
Yeah, he's a big name too. I just kind of learned about him from watching this. So the movie opens with this very low ominous score. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Night of the Living Dead remake score a little bit. So it's 1974, and we're in Jacksonville, Florida. So we're already doing good. Sorry, Florida. Just kidding.
Bye, Urban Meyer. It's nice seeing you.
Hey, save that for the Studs and Scrubs podcast.
Sorry, this is football.
Let's stay on our lane here.
At this time, they didn't have the Jaguar.
That's true. We're at the Route 35 drive-in theater, and the cars are pulling in. And on the marquee is The House That Cried Blood is the movie that's displayed on the marquee, which is a horror movie that also so happens to be written and directed by, it was just written by the director, John Grismer. And this
is a real drive-in. Oh, yes, not anymore. It was a real drive-in.
Yes, yep, I did read that. When I saw that movie on the marquee there, I'm like, I wonder if that's a real movie or if they just threw something up that sounded horror themed. And no, it actually is a movie. So it's also known as The Bride, No Way Out, and the name I know it by because it's been on my Amazon Prime Watch Later list for like fucking ever. It's also now on my Tubi list because I don't know if it's still on Prime, but The Last House on Massacre Street. And I know they show, I don't think they actually show any of the movie here at the drive-in, but later on it appears on a TV. So, and we get our title card, and title card says Slasher. I thought I was watching Blood Rage. So, and as Scary Perry mentioned over there, another alternate name for it is Nightmare at Shadow Woods, which I believe is what it originally released as. But it was heavily cut, and then later on, when it was re-released uncut, it was titled Blood Rage with the Slasher title card. As the credits roll, we get this awesome kickin' 80s jam as the drive-in patrons settle in. It's synth to the extreme. Something along those lines. I can't do it justice here. But so we got this guy walking with his bucket of popcorn that he just bought, and he takes it into the men's room with him. I'm like, ew. But while he's checking himself out in the mirror, Ted Raimi strolls up next to him. And he kind of looks like he's dressed like Crazy Ralph from Friday the 13th, which, that's another thing. You'll have to remind me when Friday the 13th's coming up, because we'll have to do that.
Okay.
But again, more slashers for themed days and holidays. So he kind of just does this smirk, and I love fucking Ted Raimi and everything. I've said that before. So, and he opens up his vest to reveal condoms pinned to it. He's a condom salesman. I'm not gonna lie. I think I found my new calling in life. I think I just want to be some random fucking weirdo with this fucking vest and just open up and try to sell condoms to guys in the restroom. Or maybe that's a good career path for you, Scary Perry. Think that's right up your alley.
Yeah, I'll hit the truck stops.
Right. No, you gotta do the drive-in theater, man. We got one. We got a couple around here. You could creep out in.
Fun fact: this is the film debut for Ted Raimi.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he was, I think, 19 at the time. Yeah.
Hold on here. It says 1987.
Ah, see, it says 1987, but this movie was actually shot in 1983.
When was Evil Dead though? An Intruder.
I don't know, you know more than me, man.
Evil Dead was before this, I think, and while he's not like a main character in Evil Dead, he plays some random body parts and stuff in there. Technically not on film if he's just his body parts, but I don't think he's one of the guys waving on the side of the road.
19 at the time of filming.
Yeah, but when was Evil Dead?
Did I
Evil
say-
Dead might have been 88.
Ted Raimi.
Yeah, no, and Evil Dead wasn't 88. I think Evil Dead was 84, 2,
So this was
6, 5,
Now
3.
I gotta go on this tangent to see how old Ted Raimi is right now.
I don't care how old he is right now. I just care about what movie he starred in first.
50.
When was Intruder?
56.
When was Intruder?
I think it was 89.
I think you're right. And when was Evil Dead? Because he's definitely got some parts in Evil
81.
Dead.
So why did I say this is a film debut?
Well, I think in Evil Dead he only played like there's some limbs sticking out of the floors and
But
shit.
he was also in Crime Wave, which was no, because that was after 83.
Yeah, Crime Wave was after 83.
So he was fake Shemp, and
Yeah, in Evil Dead he was Fake Shep. He
I
played
guess-
like a lot of the body parts,
so I guess this
like
is,
sticking out of the floorboards for the
this
body
is-
parts
this
twitching.
is the debut as
Yeah, him as
condom salesman.
him as a guy.
Yeah,
Because in the other ones, I think he played other characters that were turned deadite and stuff, especially their body parts. I don't know if he was actually on film. In Evil Dead 2, I'm pretty sure he plays a Henrietta, at least when she and becomes a monster. Anyways, back on track here. So yeah, and it's $1 for a condom.
seems a little crazy.
Yeah, especially in the 80s. I'm like,
Yeah.
those were like the little vending machines that you
Maybe-
put in. Like,
I don't
a
know.
quarter.
Maybe they were expensive.
I mean, like today, that's probably like a good
When
deal,
were-
especially
when were
on the
they, like,
spot.
invented, like
Invented? Jeez, condoms have been around forever.
Yeah, but
Come
like
on, man.
maybe they were expensive then because it was just hard to get like the goat
Yeah.
intestine shit. You know,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think they're using goat intestines anymore by then, buddy.
I don't know.
Anyways, and then he gets another customer that just wanders up. Like, that's hilarious. So outside, the intermission is almost over, and we got a bunch of couples are making out during these next scenes. The good old drive-in tradition of making out. So we got one chick, she's not into it, and smacks the guy and sends the popcorn bucket flying. So we focus in on a middle-aged lady and guy, and this is Louise Lasser, of course, and they start making out, but she hesitates because her boys are in the back seat. They're cock-blocking Don Juan here, but they're asleep, and there's this, I can't help but notice that amongst their toys in the back there's this realistic toy M16. The 70s, or 80s, because 70s? 80s? Well, let's see. The film's made in the 80s, but it flashes back to the 70s.
1983.
Pick your time period. Well, yeah, I'm making a joke because it starts out in the 70s. Did I miss that? No, I got it. 1974, Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah, I said that.
Okay.
So
good.
I'm doing a bit here. Our 70s, 80s, 70s. Which, yeah. Pick your time period.
I don't know.
Bad joke. It went sideways. Anyways,
You lost
so they go back to making out, and the kids, they're twins. So they wake up and they say, "Mom's at it again." So she must be really trying to get
at it again.
Must be trying to get a stepdaddy here. So they sneak out the back of the station wagon. So the one kid, he finds a hatchet in the back of a pickup truck. So he picks it up. So the shot lingers on a close up of the hatchet. And I like this for some reason. I don't know. I think it's like a cool little scene, maybe a bit foreshadowing too. So the kid with the hatchet walks over to another car with an open window. They're watching. He's watching this guy who it's the guy who bought a condom from Raimi earlier, and he's plowing his girlfriend here in the back seat. And we got titties.
Hey now.
And this guy has like a super hairy chest. I wonder if he's like Italian.
That's just
Italians.
You
man.
automatically have
yeah,
Italian. Look at me. I don't have a hairy chest. I'm Italian.
I question your Italian authenticity.
I'm not really showing him my chest right now.
No, I totally can't see those boobs over there.
What are you talking about? That's my mustache.
If you say so. I mean, I got a hairy chest. Proud of it. Italian, man. We don't fucking shave our chest. We're fucking real men.
I think I shaved my chest?
No, but like how nowadays, guys shave their chest and macho. No, us Italians, we got hairy fucking chests. We're manly men. Anyways, back on track here. So, I don't know why I put down the guy has a super hairy chest. Definitely looks better than your non-hairy chest.
You're so fixated on his hairy chest.
I don't know why either.
I would be more on
I didn't even write down the Italian joke. I just went with it. So he looks up and he tells the kid to scram. Scram, creep. Because, he's killing his chub here for his girlfriend. So we got kill number 1. So the kid strikes him in the face with the hatchet repeatedly. This is actually a very good-looking gore scene. And I guess a lot of this was cut from the original release because, it was too gory for the censors at the time. And that's going to be a motif with this film, is there's a lot of good gore in it. So the girlfriend, she's screaming, blood splatters on the popcorn, you get a nice close-up of the slash marks in the guy's face. So the girlfriend just runs off screaming, butt naked, towards like the fucking woods in the screen, which I'm just like, that's hilarious. So we go back with the mom and Don Juan. She thought she heard a scream, and Don Juan's had enough of this cock blocking and says it's time to leave. So she checks the back seat, but the boys are gone. So meanwhile, the murderer twin, who is Terry, is wiping blood from his hands on the innocent twin, Todd, and puts the hatchet in his hand. So
when he's doing this, there's a crowd of people around them. Like,
not
I
yet.
swear
They're
somebody would
around.
see that and be like, no, ma'am, this child did it, not that child.
Also, there's still some blood splattered on him, too, on his clothes, so...
Yeah.
So Terry cries for his mother, and she comes and hugs him, but she's in shock at what Todd did. So now we jump to 10 years later, and we got Mrs. Maddie Simons, and that's the mom. That's Louise Lasser's character. She goes to this mental institute that she keeps insisting is a school to visit Todd on Thanksgiving. So she meets with psychiatrist Dr. Berman, and this scene is overdubbed by her audio log talking about Todd.
This was so weird and confusing.
Yeah, it's kind of the only scene like this, too. But it makes sense that she's doing like her doctor's
I don't
log.
know why this was in this. Like, I understand, but there was too much of the other dialogue, like interrupting
there's
it.
Some exposition.
And I'm like listening. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I didn't mind it, but it does detract from trying to listen to what they're saying. Like, it's not so much in the office part, because that part doesn't really matter, but when she goes and they bring out Todd, then it kind of can become distracting, but they do a nice job of spacing it out during that part. So she says in her audio log that Todd is starting to remember the incident and said it was Terry who killed the guy, and that she wants to do more tests. And
it's been 10 years. Figure it out.
Right. And her position, the mom's, on the subject was also, quote, somewhat negative. I think that's a hilarious understatement because she just starts flipping out on the lady. But she's able to calm her down using her years of experience as a doctor. And she states, I wondered, how would she react seeing her son? How would Todd react? She had never seen the two of them together before, so she brings them on out. And Todd's mom here brought him a piece of pumpkin pie. And she kind of still treats him like a child, exactly as he was at the time of the murder. The doc says the trauma of watching the murder by his twin made Todd catatonic, and that he thinks he's being punished for a crime he didn't commit, which is true. Their meeting goes south. The mom defends Terry, and she just wants a happy family. And Todd's just like, I don't care about family. He starts to rip open the box with a slice of pie in it, and Todd goes apeshit. And he crushes the pie to mush in his hands. The mom's just petting him, like trying to like make it seem like it's okay. And
this weird theme of food in this movie and drink.
a little bit.
Like, first it was the popcorn, now it's the pumpkin pie. And then we got something else coming up a little.
Yeah. And I'll note here that I feel like this entire film is an interesting view on several different kinds of people with various mental disorders and delusions. And it's kind of interesting to trying to figure out which of these family members is the most screwed up in the head. Because they all have problems. Obviously, Terry, the real killer, is a psychopath killer who framed his brother. Todd, he's catatonic from being framed for murder and doing for something he didn't commit. And then the mom is just this basket case that is like falling apart from all the stress and is just trying to keep her family together. So it's kind of very interesting. It's also kind of sad to watch it play out too.
You can do a whole separate movie or like novel about this mother.
Yeah.
Louise Lasser. I mean, this acting was like, I don't say if it's good. I'm not jumping ahead, but I mean, she was like in deep.
Oh yeah. She's definitely falling apart towards the end of the film. But so next, Todd throws the pie against the wall, which is hilarious. And then the orderlies come and restrain Todd. And then the doctor's audio log, she says she sees hope because of his belief that he is innocent. She can start to prepare Todd to re-enter society. So now we cut to the stereotypical backyard Thanksgiving football game. We got more doctor voiceover here, though. We got Terry has been normal for 10 years, but who knows what will set him off again. I think it's funny in this football scene because half of these characters we'll never see again. Only 5 of them stay here.
Well,
but
they filmed this at
and not because they die, just because they leave. They go someplace else.
They filmed this at the University of North Florida, a lot of parts of it.
Okay.
So they probably went up to some college students. Hey, you want to be in a movie? Just some random extras.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a handful of them that are your feature characters that are going to be your victims here. But one of these random characters that just is in the movie again is this guy in this light blue shirt with a better mustache than Scary Perry.
That's bullshitting,
Oh no, he's got this rockin' porn stash. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
No, not you. The guy in the light blue shirt, who we never see again.
Well,
Terry, he's smooching his girlfriend here, and we got some new neighbors come jogging by, though. It's this mother whose name is Beth and her daughter, Andrea. And Terry's checking her out because Andrea's a little hot blonde here. So Terry's mom has invited them over for dinner, being the new neighbors, and his girlfriend, Karen, looks kind of jealous. I don't think Karen's really your typical Karen.
She's a Karen?
No, she's not. She's not your typical Karen. She's the victim of the happenstance of that name being ruined by today's modern society.
Might be the only smart one.
Probably. We got a strange music cue here, this stinger and ominous music. But we cut to Thanksgiving dinner. Everyone's laughing and having a good time.
If we had some kind of video of us recording this podcast, so anytime you say stinger, we'd have that magazine, the Tempo magazine pop
up. If I ever
up.
did a YouTube channel, like how some of the people sit in front of the camera and review movies and they cut the things, whenever there'd be a stinger, we'd have a cutout pop in of that thing. It would be great. I think that was the best investment you ever made in your life.
Oh, it's in a secure spot. I love it.
Yeah. Better put in a fireproof safe too, in case, disaster ever strikes.
Well, let me go on Amazon right now. I'll get it.
There you go. So Terry's mom and her new beau, Brad, have an announcement. They're getting married.
Yes.
And
they're quite a spread for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's pretty
It looked
impressive.
really good, yeah.
We got some piano. It's going burn, burn. And, Terry's looking around shocked, and then it goes burn, 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 burn. Some good piano score here, building some tension here, because obviously it's kind of what set off Terry the last time was, when she was with her beau at the time. Different beau this time, too. It's some older, late middle-aged guy.
Apartment owner.
Yeah, he owns the this condo complex that they all live in. I guess that'd be the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Which is, it's named, Shadow Woods.
Yeah.
After the title, the original title.
Mm-hmm.
Terry congratulates the mother and hugs her, and he hesitates and then shakes Brad's hand. So they do a toast. Here's the new family. And this weirdo is drinking milk for a toast. I mean, my God, you know he's a psychopath
This
at
is
that
another
point.
thing I have. I got popcorn, pumpkin pie, and milk.
Yeah. So they go to carve the turkey. Terry grabs the knife. He's pointing at Brad, though, and you're like, uh-oh. But he hands the knife to Brad and says he should do the honors since he's the new head of the family. The phone rings, and Mom goes and answers, and she closes. There's these shutters over the counter, so she closes them to have some privacy. And now we got some chit-chat going on at the table while the phone call's going on, though. So Andrea, she's in college, and she plays tennis. And this piques Terry's interest, and he says they should play sometime. And Andrea says you need something to do here. This place is slow death. I'm like, is that a bit of foreshadowing? I also thought this place was Shadow Woods, not slow death. Boom-ching. I know that was terrible.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. My dad jokes will exit stage left now. So Terry, he says, oh, we'll find something for you to do. And Karen gives this kind of jealous, concerned look here. She's like, this chick's gonna steal my man. So Andrea, she's babysitting tonight and says he should stop by and says he'd love to. Ooh. I think he's moving in on this new girl here. So the mother calls Terry to help her in the kitchen.
And she's babysitting someone.
Yeah, she's a go-getter, man. It's the 80s.
She wastes no
Entrepreneur.
No time.
Yeah, the mother calls Terry to help her in the kitchen. And the school, wink wink, just called. Todd has escaped. They think he might come here. And she says that the doc is on her way. I can't help but think, Scary Perry, didn't you have a twin brother named Pod who also went crazy and killed somebody? Scary Pod? You know, Scary Perry, and we got Scary Pod.
About that.
Okay, all right. Won't say anything about it.
Pod?
Well, yeah, because I'm doing a bit here. Terry and Todd, Perry and Pod.
Pod?
Yeah, because they both have names that begin with T.
Oh, yeah,
Therefore, you guys were both. I know. Spoiler.
Of all names,
spoiler.
Out of all names,
Perry isn't his first name.
Why wouldn't you say like Paul or something?
Because it rhymes with Todd, just like Perry rhymes with Terry. I'm doing a bit here, people. Come on, man. Give me some slack here. I'm trying to be funny, and you're stepping on my shoes. I'm talking like an Italian for some reason.
You're hurting my pea pod.
I know that was another terrible joke, but I thought it was funny. Mom tells Terry that we'll pretend nothing happens because she doesn't want to spoil the dinner party. So Terry goes back, and Brad asks if everything's okay, and the mom busts open the shutters. She's like, hot bread, everyone? Terry remarks, it's like, looks like you're going to get a chance to meet the rest of the family. My psychotic brother just escaped. And he just acts like nothing happened with this sly smirk on his face. I'm just like, what a dick. And the mom is like aghast and looks at Terry. Meanwhile, Todd is walking down the street. And that's it. That's it for that scene.
Yep.
Establishing shot that he's out. That's about
it.
So back in the kitchen, they're cleaning up. Mom looks stressed. Brad tells her it's time for her to get off her feet. He'll finish cleaning up. Mother says, I think everything went very well. And a little bit of a denial at the events going on around her. Terry, she gives her a foul stare as she walks away. Mark Sopper, I'm going to point out, does a great job with his expressions in playing both roles in this film because he plays both twins. Brad follows her into the bedroom. They start making out, but Terry picks on them through the door. Oh, he doesn't pick on. He peeks on them through the door. Stupid autocorrect on these fucking... Even Microsoft Word autocorrects. So, Mom, she shuts Brad down, though. So, she's like, Terry's in the next room and Todd's out there all alone. And she's worried.
Oh,
and there goes...
that stopped her before, like in the car 10 years ago?
See, the kids are cock-blocking her again.
Oh, my God.
Or cock-blocking the boyfriend again. This time, Brad.
Yeah, guys.
Brad tells her to relax, though, and he's probably just hiding in a closet somewhere. So...
I was like, when they said that line, I was like...
Oh, yeah, that's probably not...
I'm like,
now that I hear myself say it, I'm like, yeah, that's...
I was just like, yeah, that's probably not going to be in any...
I mean, I don't think that's what they meant by it, of course, but, you know, they probably meant he's just, like, hiding in some broom closet back at the Institute.
Yeah.
You know, being, like, a crazy loon. I don't think they meant it that way.
Yeah,
I think it was just poor choice of words, maybe.
Yeah.
In the 80s, I don't think anybody would have noticed, but nowadays, if you put that in there without the attention of being, you know, establishing that this guy's a homophobic dick or something, it wouldn't go over well.
I wrote down homophobic dick.
Did you?
No.
Oh,
But I wrote down that line. Okay.
That'd be pretty funny. So Terry, meanwhile, is freshening up and the doorbell rings. And someone's waiting at the door with a gun, and Terry comes out and gets ambushed here. And she's like, I got him, Doc.
This is... Okay, just keep going.
And it's a guy and the doc from the school, and she scolds him and says, "That's Terry." Plus, it's also just a tranquilizer gun, so it's not a real gun anyways. But later on, they do say that they have a gun, which is confusing, if that's what you're getting at.
Like, this is so... When I was watching this happen, in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Then I'm like, do they have this, like, ultimate authority? It's a school or whatever, a mental asylum. I understand, but with a gun and he just, like, grabs him...
It was technically a tranquilizer gun, though.
Yeah, but like, and also
because he probably knows what he looks like.
Tranquilizer gun, like, is that a thing?
But later on, they say he also has somebody has a real gun because they get it from him. So I don't know.
About even if it's a real gun, is that like a common practice for mental asylums on trank?
Well, if you have somebody that's potentially harmful and escape, and you don't want to kill them.
I really don't think the orderlies that would work at the institution
they have sedatives.
Would go after them in the public, and they'd get the authorities.
Yeah, but you don't know how they work.
I mean, it was the 80s. Who knows?
Right. So Mom and Brad come to the door, and Brad offers to help them and tells the others to wait inside the house. So as they walk away, the orderly asks Brad if he were around when the Simmons kid first turned into a wacko. I feel like that is kind of very uncouth and inappropriate at that time. Brad tells them he might be hiding on one of the back patios or in the nature walk in the woods. So he tells them he'll be waiting in his office if they need him, because he's the owner of this little community, the Shadow Woods. Then it's time to split up gang. So the orderly, whose name is Jackie, and I'm like, with a name like that, he's dying. He's going to check the patios while Doc checks the trail. Jackie speaks up and says maybe you should go with her just in case anything happens. That's not a bad idea, Bert. But she says she could take care of herself. So she takes the gun, which tranquilizer gun. Yeah.
Air quotes.
At his office, Brad cracks open a brew and calls the mom. And as he's on the phone, Terry creeps up on the patio to the open glass sliding doors. Mom is venting on the phone. She's having a nervous breakdown here. And Louisa Lasser does a very good job of this throughout the film of portraying this here, watching her slowly falling apart. So the sweet score kicks in here. As Brad kicks back with his brew in hand, Terry raises a machete. He taps on the door. And he does the shave and a haircut, 2 bits. So Brad swivels his chair around and he sees Terry. And he's like, well, look what the cat brought in. And we got kill number 2. So Terry cuts off his brew hand and it falls to the ground. His arm is squirting blood everywhere and the hand is twitching. And then we cut away. So meanwhile, Doc and Jackie are still looking. And Jackie has some goodies. And he's calling to Todd, you want to get high?
So... I got a little trivia. So right before they show Slice's hand off, they show a drawing of a hand on the wall in his office, and it's done by MC Escher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Back to Jackie here. Yeah, he's got some goodies, and he's calling to Todd, and he's like, you want to get high? Because he's got a bag of marijuana. And I'm like, oh, man, this guy is definitely going to die now. So he sits down and lights one up. And Terry comes up with a machete behind his back. And Jackie remarks that him and Todd look a lot alike. And I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. That's why they're twins. He apologizes for earlier, and he spills the beans that Doc told him Todd never killed anybody. And I'm just like, well, that was a big mistake. So now we got kill number 3. Terry grabs him and runs his machete through Jackie's chest. And blood squirting everywhere. Man, these effects are fucking great.
Yeah, they were good.
Really makes the film here. And this film's unlike other slashers where sometimes you have the intro kill and then it takes a while to get to the next kill. These kills come pretty rapidly here. Yeah, I mean, after the dinner scene, it really ramps up. It doesn't take that long. So it's well paced in that regards. I'd also like to point out that Jackie also has this terrible looking, like, pencil thin mustache. Not pencil thin, but like hardly there mustache. But not as bad as Scary Perry's.
Get the fuck out. Get out of here.
I don't know if we're running this bit into the ground
Delorese,
or not.
He's loitering. Kick him out.
But anyways.
Aren't we all?
I wish he'd hurry up with my fucking Pepsi refill. I'll never get another Pepsi. That's all right. Terry, looking at his work, remarks, yes, he, referring to Todd, did. Referring that Todd did indeed kill the guy way back in the day. So he's all screwed up in the head too, but we already knew that. So he walks away to some more awesome music here. So we got Doc, and she's calling to Ted, and she's still out looking. Meanwhile, the mom, her nervous breakdown continues here. and she's sitting on the floor in front of the fridge eating leftovers.
She's fucking jamming it.
Yeah, I don't even think she's using a fork or anything. She's using her
Yeah,
hands.
she had like corn, right? Or I forget.
I think it might have been stuffing or like squash.
Something, yeah. She was just
I forget. I'd have
going
to
to
see
town
the
on
scene,
it.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so then it cuts back to the woods. Doc, she's looking, and so we see the bloody machete appear in the foreground. And I love shots like this where you got something in the foreground and something in the background. And we got a bit of a stinger and more of that sweet 80s score. Actually, I don't think that's the part from this one. I think it's more of like the piano part. I can't remember. I didn't write it down, so.
You can write down the dirt.
Not in this part, but I love the score. I got a lot to talk about the score later on, too. So she turns and she sees him and her mouth's agape. And I'm just like, run, you dumb bitch. So we cut to the mom and she's pouring a giant glass of wine while dialing on the rotary phone. I'm like, good old rotary phones. We got a rotary phone appearance. I don't think we got a phone booth in this one, so we'll have to take our rotary phone, right?
Yeah, you'll take you take what you can get. I like the rotary phones.
So we cut back to kill number 4. So Doc is cut in half, screaming and wiggling her body. And we see a wide shot next with her body split in half. And it looks like the legs were still wiggling. I don't know if this was an error or intentional, but it looks like the torso was kind of rocking a little bit. So I don't know if it was just like the actor playing the torso part was, just couldn't sit still, or if it was like supposed to be like, still the nervous twitching. But it wasn't a bad.
I mean, I think
cool.
it would, maybe the body would do that just for.
It might be, but I'm not so sure if how long after, I don't know if it was intentional or an error, because you get that like a lot of times, like you see like somebody's supposed to be a corpse but they're still breathing. Like if they're just supposed to be a corpse lying there and then you see them, they're still breathing. That type of stuff happens a lot in this because it's hard to hold your breath, So Todd, he finally arrives at the Shadowwoods apartments, and we know this because we got an establishing shot of him standing next to the sign. So Terry, he goes home to wash up after his killing spree. He tastes the blood, and he says, "It's not cranberry sauce." I'm like, but it does taste like corn syrup, because it's probably corn syrup.
I just backtrack real quick.
Sure, backtrack away.
In IMDb, it says it is a goof that her legs are moving, and the hand was moving of the Brad.
Well, that I understand, because
they say it can't happen once your nerves are cut.
Yeah, I understand that.
There's some. I'm going on a tangent here.
If you cut off like a chicken with its head, it'll still run around for a bit.
Yeah, but there's some. I'm going on a tangent here. I can't think of the movie. There's some movie like that was obsessed about decapitation. I don't know exactly about it, by saying that people can talk after, like, first a little bit after they get decapitated.
Yeah, because there's still blood in your brain.
I can't think of the movie, but yeah. All right, anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. So Terry, he goes home to wash up. Oh, I already said that. And yeah, it's not cranberry sauce. That's going to be a recurring theme here. So we see Mark Sopper's no duty to cause an action because he's taking a shower in his underwear to rinse off the blood. So Mark Sopper, you are safe from the list of celebrity man-asses I never wanted to see but did. For now. I don't know if you've ever been in any other horror movies that we might cover, but for now, you're safe from that list. Oh, I had somebody else recently that I had to add to that list, but I think I was saving that for another hot cake. Oh yeah, because I'm still not done watching that movie. That's why. Because I started watching it, and I was going to save it for another hot cake, either the next one or later. Probably a later one. So we cut to the mom here, and she's scrubbing. She's scrubbing the oven that's already clean. I'm just like, I don't think it's like, oh, this was a prop oven that's already clean, so it doesn't make sense. I think it was literally the oven was already clean, and she's just like having this compulsive nervous breakdown, so she's cleaning everything, even though it's clean a million times over. It's kind of sad to watch here. Meanwhile, Todd takes a peek through a glass sliding door, and we jump back to the mom, and she's now calling up Brad. She's pacing back and forth with drinking something, but Brad can't answer the phone right now, and he's propped up sitting at his desk in his blood-splattered office. Oh my goodness, look who just came through the door. It's J-Bones, the skeleton chef of the podcast.
Where's my pancakes?
J-Bones, how can you be cooking our pancakes if you're out front and not in the kitchen? Come to the microphone, J-Bones. You can talk into the microphone.
Which one do you want to go to?
Well, hello. I've just interrupted this podcast to deliver pancakes.
Well, it's about time, because that goddamn Delorese wasn't delivering pancakes.
It's not working.
So we'll interrupt our recording here for a second. So you get a special sneak peek here, J-Bones. So we are reviewing the 1987 slasher film Blood Rage. Have you ever seen Blood Rage?
I have not seen one.
Oh, well, you're in for a treat, sir.
I'm excited to
So,
be here.
all right, bear with us. Sit down, kick back, and we'll roll on here. And back to the office where Brad's propped up here. The gospel is on his TV. They're talking about Bible stuff with an eye for an eye and a hand for a hand. Clever joke here. Fill you in real quick, J-Bones. Brad isn't alive here. He's dead, and he had his hand chopped off while holding a cold one. Was it a Pabst Blue Ribbon? That'd make it even better. I don't think it was. It wasn't a Matty Light. Now I remember. Now I wish I wrote it down.
Jacksonville. I don't know what they drink down there.
I'm gonna go with Pabst Blue Ribbon. He might have been white trash and in trouble.
Sounds like he's having a bad day.
Yep. Terry, he's all cleaned up now, and so he head over to Andrea's babysitter gig, and she offers him vodka or tomato juice, and he just takes the tomato juice straight because he doesn't drink. And I'm like, doesn't he know he could have had a V8? Facepalm. You remember that advertisement? Are my bad jokes not doing anything for you?
He's better off having a Bloody Mary.
Ba-dum-ching. So he asks about his brother, and there's no news, so Terry doesn't like to talk about it. Says he gives him nightmares. So she asks what his major is, and he says psychology. Oh, it's hilarious when you got a psychopath whose major is psychology. He asks what her major is, and she says, I told you, partying. Good college answer there. So she takes off her overshirt to reveal a white see-through top. Titties, question mark? Because we kind of got like some nips poking through here.
I'll take it.
It's kind of like a little see-through-ish.
I'll take it.
Take it. So he's like, I wonder if there's anything good on the tube. And he's just missing all the signals that Angie is, wants some here. So meanwhile, Todd, he goes to the patio of his home while Karen knocks at the front door, but there's no answer. So she goes around back, and he hides in the patio storage closet. See, he does like to hide in closets. It wasn't a homophobic slur. It was just,
A patio closet?
Yeah, it's more like a little storage closet shed thing. I just called it a patio closet because it's attached to the patio.
Tell me more about these patio closets.
So she knocks on the...
Is he going to come out of the closet?
Hey now, we already made that. We already made that reference.
Brad said this.
So she goes around back, and she's knocking on the sliding door, and Todd pokes out and taps her on the shoulder, and that scares her. And she thinks it's Terry though, and she wants to talk to Terry, and she thinks he's high again because he's always quiet when he gets high. And I'm like, that's funny. I'm like, Terry had a lot to say after he took a puff of Jackie's joint earlier. Boom-ching. She spills her guts to Todd, thinking it's Terry, about how they hardly ever see each other and he never writes, and she loves him though, and she lays the big one on her that are on him, and that she wants her to make love, or wants him to make love to her. God, autocorrect ruined my notes here.
Her, him.
Oh, I mixed up all the pronouns. So she's like, come on, say something. And he does. He says, I'm not Terry. I'm Todd. Whoops. So she's like, you seem nice. And then he's like, I've never kissed a girl before. It must be nice. So she's just like, you should really try it sometime. Time to go. And she runs over to her car as Artie and another guy pull up. I forget the other guy's name. I think it comes up in my notes later. So she tells them she found Todd, Terry's insane brother, and she brings them up to speed. So they say we better...
Greg,
yeah. I think I have it later in my notes. I didn't go back to get it. They say we better find Terry, and she says no way. So Artie volunteers to go look while the other guy stays with Karen. So on the radio, there's a song playing, and it's going, I'm going to get you. I'm like, real subtle. Also, open container in a car. Oh man, these kids. It was the 80s. That's always the excuse. Artie grabs his bat and goes to look. She brings the other guy, Greg, up to speed. Says he looks just like Terry, but had this crazed look in his eyes. I'm like, is she talking about the same guy we saw? Because he didn't look like he had a crazed look in his eyes. I know it's probably because she thinks he's crazy, so, when you're hysterical, you over-exaggerate things.
Yeah.
So the other guy, Greg, he tries to make a move, but he gets shut down. So Artie comes back. Karen says, maybe we should call the police. Artie says, we should wait for Terry. He'll know what to do. I'm just like, kill all of them? Yeah, Terry don't know what to do. He'll kill all of them. Also, I was really liking Artie for a second, but that was just dumb. They should have called the police. So we cut back to Andrea and Terry, and they're watching some horror flick. And I do put question mark the bride because it looks like there's a bride in the dress, so I'm assuming that's the drive-in movie from earlier. That's a scene from it.
That was directed or made by the director. Yes.
Yep, written by the director.
Yeah, whatever. Directed.
Yep. So Terry remarks, how can they show that on TV? I just laughed, poking fun at your own work and the horror genre in general. In a horror movie, it's great. So Andrea is fed up and turns off the TV and puts her arms around him. He asks what she is doing, and he's just still not interested. He's not picking up on the signals. Then the lady she was babysitting for comes home, and she asks, what's going on here, you two? Wink, wink, wink. And she says, absolutely nothing, which is literally the truth. And that's pretty funny. So she owes Andrea $10 for the babysitting. So she's like, I'll have to look. And that's like a hint, hint, wink, wink to her date. So her date reacts and it's like, oh, let me. I'm like, geez, Bill probably had to pay for dinner and now has to pay for the babysitter too. To be fair though, he's going to get some from this lady that looks to be out of his league. So good for him. Damaged good, fellas. If she's damaged goods, oh no, damn it, I'm ruining my own joke because I'm getting ahead in my line reading here. I'm like, if she's damaged goods, what does that make Delorese? Badoom ching. I know you heard me back there, Delorese. Hurry up with those. Oh wait, J Bones is here, so the pancakes can't be coming. Wait, go ahead, make your point.
I mean, I gotta like in all caps here in my writing. $10. I'm gonna say that's a lot for that era of time.
Oh man, $10 back in the '80s? Yeah, man. You know what you could buy
for babysitting? Like,
yeah.
She barely babysitted her. I don't know.
Back in the '80s,
you tell me.
That's an all-night babysitter.
Then yeah, that's given. That seems adequate for 1987 or '83 because it was.
Whenever.
That's right. That's when your dollar used to be worth some.
Reaganomics.
Economics.
I don't know why I wrote $10 because I mean
You're
I wish
obsessed
I
with
could
that
go back in
$10.
time with my mustache.
Well, first we got $1 for the condom. Now we got $10 for babysitting. Maybe this film was meant to be filmed in the 70s during like the oil crisis. Maybe that's why and prices were sky high. I don't know. So Bill, that's the date here. He checks the drinks and he tells them not to drive anywhere. And he tells her that she could get in trouble for getting minors intoxicated. And they're like, oh, we're not minors. Which is true. This is actually a 80s slasher movie where they don't try to pass off the 20 and 30 somethings as teenagers. They're actually college kids. So they leave. Outside, the gang sees Terry and Andrea leaving. Karen tells them about seeing Todd and he tried to kiss her. Somebody remarks that he has his brother's taste. So they're joking around. I got here that other guy's name is Greg. And Terry tells them it's not funny. And Terry's going to find him. And he says his brother is nuts. Which, the whole family's nuts if you ask me. Except for stepdad Brad, who's missing a limb here.
He did.
He did. Oh, damn it. I beat Greg to the punch here. Because Greg jokes that just like the rest of your family. My joke here in my notes was that he doesn't know how true that is. And of course, Terry's like, that's not funny, so he goes off by himself. Andrea tells them to come back to her place to party since her mom's gone. So she really does major in partying. So back at the Simmons, the mom is vacuuming, so she's still going on her crazy binge cleaning here. And she's still drinking that wine. The nervous breakdown intensifies.
Wino.
So we got a stinger, because in comes Terry in the foreground, startles the mom, and she tells her Todd is here. So she asks about the doc, and she's like, nope. Hasn't seen her. And he's like, he's still loose. And he says that Karen saw him. I don't know where the doctor is. I think maybe she left. Yeah, she left in pieces. Mom gets on the phone. Still no answer. Can't get a hold of Brad. So Terry asks if they should call the police. The mom says no, because why would we call the police here? She's like, find Brad. And the shifty eyes of Terry here is a nice touch. And he says that Brad's probably looking for him. More like looking for his missing hand, though. Hey-o. So
I think he wants his beer.
Yeah. That Pabst Blue Ribbon. So she tells Terry to be careful. Todd's probably very frightened. And to put on a sweater. It's cold outside. The blue one specifically, for whatever reason. So meanwhile, Todd stumbles upon the doctor's corpse. And he's trying to put the body back together. He takes the severed legs and torso and lines them back up with the rest of her. And he's like, I know you believed me. Why didn't you do anything? So he finds a revolver and takes it with him. And this is where I'm like, about the tranquilizer gun versus the revolver, because Brad has a revolver back at his office, but earlier they said this was a tranquilizer gun, so did she have a real gun and the other guy have the tranquilizer gun, or did they have two? So that's where it gets real confusing. Or were they just lying to Terry that they had a tranquilizer gun to make him not seem like I was going to blow his brains out?
Probably wasn't a real gun because that jacket was effing crazy.
So he hears a girl and she's looking for her cat. And he tells her cats have a way of finding their own way home. He thinks that she should go home too because there's a bad person out here. So he tells her to lock her doors and not let anyone in, no matter what. And I got a feeling that's going to be a little important later on. So back at Andrea's, Greg and Artie are playing some state-of-the-art racing game while she teaches Karen how to drink tequila. So she asked about Karen's encounter with Todd, and she says she felt bad that she thought it was Terry at first until he stepped out of the shadows. I'm like, that's not what happened at all. Are you watching the same movie I'm watching? That is not how it happened at all. This crazy woman's making things up. I'm like, he even told you he was Todd. You didn't know he was Todd until he told you. So she said he had a weird look on his face. And I'm like, I say that all the time about Perry and then realize it's just his mustache. Heyo. So Andrea, she's smoking here. The 80s. For real this time, we're actually in the 80s. We're not in the 70s flashback part. The guys ask if they're okay back there, and Andrea remarks that they were talking about the good old days when guys were horny all the time. And Greg, this is great, he says, that sounds like my kind of conversation. And he gives up the game. So Karen comes over and takes his place to play this, like, it's better than Atari graphics.
I don't know what it was.
But it's not like...
What if it was in television? I don't know.
I'm not sure. It could have just been like some random fake thing they made for the TV that's not even an actual game.
Or some like really obscure system.
Karen, she trades places and goes up against Artie. So we cut back to the MILF and her date, talking about a label on the liquor bottle, not for children. The guy's like, of course it's not for children. And she tells him to read it again, and it's body liquor. And she's like, I thought you might want an appetizer. Heyo. And I'm like, okay, maybe that was $10 well spent. So she goes to slip into something more comfortable, wink wink. So while she's doing that, the doorbell rings. She asks him to get that. So he looks through the peephole, and it's that kid who just left. She's like, see what he wants. So he opens the door, and Terry says, hi. And so we hear a thud while in the bedroom, and the record skips and kind of scratches. I'm like, the 80s. Record players. Kids today don't know what it was like. So it makes the baby cry, so she goes and comforts it, and says, she's going to get you a rich daddy. I'm like, I think you're more likely to get a foster home now, kid. Every once in a while, one of these jokes is a winner. I'm telling you.
And that baby grew up to be Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right.
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense.
It
We don't even know if it's a boy or a girl. So she comes out in her sexy lingerie.
Made it sound like she was a girl.
Did I? I don't know. But Bill is missing, so she hears a knock at the door. So she looks and she sees Bill through the peephole, and he's like, what the heck she's doing out there? So he opens the door, and we got kill number 5. Not the kind of head Bill was hoping for. We see Bill's severed head hanging from an electrical cord. Also, her door is under a staircase to a balcony? Like, there's this staircase behind the door, if you're looking, like, that leads down. I'm just like, what an odd design. Your main door to this, and it's like a condo duplex or whatever, but still, there is a door.
Architecture.
There's the stairway down in front of, like, the door. I mean, it's not, like, super immediately in front of it that you can't get to the door, but I'm like, who designs a house like that? Or a duplex or whatever? Yeah. So this is Ed French. So Ed French was the guy here, was Bill here, and I noted that Ed French made his own severed head.
Oh.
Kind of interesting.
Well, that's interesting.
Because he's the special effects guy as well.
Yeah.
So she screams, she runs to the closet to get a jacket, and Terry comes behind her and helps her put it on. What a nice guy. Good old Terry. He's a stand-up psychopath. I think we'll pause here for a shameless plug advertisement, and then we'll be right back and continue where we left off. And we're back. We cut to Todd here, and he jimmies open the sliding door with a screwdriver. So he goes into, I think it's his brother's room?
The closet?
I'm assuming. No, not the closet.
Oh, darn it.
He's not in any closets this time. Originally, I thought it was his room, and his mom just preserved it like some sort of weirdo. But I'm assuming it's...
Definitely seems like the mom.
I think it's actually Terry's room because there's, like, trophies in it. And, like, I don't know how young this guy was. Like, how many trophies would this kid have before he got locked away? So either it's his room or his brother's room or both. Plus, you don't know where they were living beforehand. So I'm going to assume it's Terry's room. So he sees all the trophies and toys and the life that he missed out on while he was put away in the school, wink. Plus that toy M16 from the drive-in is still there too. Also, though, there's this like weird skull model, like this little small skull model of a human skull on the desk, and that should have been a giveaway about Scary Perry or Terry.
What?
Are you sure that it wasn't Scary Pod that was the twin that was innocent and you secretly killed somebody back in the way before he was put away?
Peapod?
Are you not telling me something about your twin brother?
My twin brother Peapod?
Yeah, your twin brother Pod.
Peapod?
I
No.
feel like that was a dead giveaway.
So his mom slumps to the floor in the hallway, and Todd comes out and checks her out. But we cut back to Andrea's real quick. So someone's doing some POV spying through the windows, checking out some hot video game racing action and some real hot action in the bedroom. So we cut back to Todd, though, with his mom. So he places his mom in her bed, and she wakes up and asks what happened, and he says, "Too much wine." And he turns to leave, but she calls out Terry, and Todd just rolls with it because she thinks he's Terry. And he answers back yes. She asks if they found Todd, and he tells her not yet. Maybe he didn't come home after all. Maybe he ran away, far, far away. Maybe. Aw, that's so sad. She asks for a kiss, and he obliges. So now we jump back to Andrea's. So Artie and Karen hear a scream from the bedroom, so they drop their intense game of Atari Racing to go check the bedroom and investigate. And she's lying on the bed, and then, oh my god, it's a poster of the Romantics! Alright, that one was lame. Alright, moving on. But really, she pops up Andrea here with scary makeup and blood on her face and scares them, and Greg pops out with a hammer. Probably the closest we come to a jump scare, and there's not too many jump scares in this movie. There's a few, but it's kind of nice because a lot of movies really just rely on jump scares to get their horror, and they're kind of cheap.
Yeah.
They're okay when done right, but I like how this movie doesn't really use them a whole lot. So they leave to go to Mark Johnson's party. And I'm like, who's this Mark Johnson guy? It's the guy from the football game who has a mustache better than Perry's?
So my mustache is recovering here. You're making fun.
So I'm officially calling it. It's going to be canon. The guy in the light blue shirt with the porn stash, he's Mark Johnson. We're going with that. I'm crediting it as it. You can update the IMDb, the Wikipedia, whatever you want. Find out who that was. That's Mark Johnson.
I got it. I'm entering my secret.
And so, Art and Karen are going to go to the party, while Andrea and Gray are going to play tennis. And I'm like, I bet she's going to slap his balls around. Wink, wink.
Oh, boy. Nothing like some tennis at night.
Right. So meanwhile, Mom is drinking again. Her descent into madness continues. But back at Andrea's, she's showering, and we got some titties again.
Hey, now.
But Terry, he peeks in, and again, my fucking autocorrect corrected it to picks in.
Oh, he picks in again.
Yeah, he picks in.
Oh, man. He's got to stop
fucking
picking
Microsoft
in.
word.
He does way too much picking.
But so Terry peeks in, and the rumbling score kicks in crescendos. But then it cuts out, and he leaves. So we get a little bit of a fake out, like he is going to kill her, but he didn't. So Mom is on the phone with the operator, and she tells her that Brad's number is in working order, and she insists that he's there and to check again. And she says it's an emergency, and she insists that he must be there. At this point, she's gone like full batshit crazy at this point. Woolie's gone apeshit here. We cut to the tennis court, and Greg does some mansplaining on how to play tennis, and she tells him to go easy on her, but we notice that Terry is watching. Craig, he hits it too hard, and it goes over the fence. So she goes to get it, and Terry leaves too for a moment. He comes back, though, and Craig lies down on the court as Terry's coming back. So we see the ball roll back in. This is kind of a bit of a fake out here, because then a shadow looms over Greg, but it's just a fake out. It's just Andrea, and she says she couldn't find the ball. I'm like, then who rolled it back? Bum, bum, bum. But Greg makes his move here, but she tells him not here, and she has a better idea. Woo! So we jump back to the mom and the operator, and she's breaking down and telling the operator everything. And then she loses her train of thought. The operator asks her what number she wants, and she's like, what number do I want? She just screams, get me my boyfriend! And now we jump to the indoor swimming pool. So this is a pretty swanky complex here. They got their own like little
Tennis
pool and spa
court,
resort.
swimming
Yeah.
Pool, balcony apartments.
Yep. Andrea and
Closet.
Craig, they're doing it on the diving board. And we only see some side man ass here, so I'm going to keep Greg safe from my list of celebrity man asses that I never wanted to see but did list. And we're going to keep him off the list for now.
Greg,
Plus, I don't know if this guy is famous enough to make that list. So Terry comes up and he tells them to stop that. So we got kill number 6. So he cuts Greg with the machete across the throat and he falls backwards into the pool. And we mostly avoid man-ass and dick, which is good. Well, good for me. I mean, for the ladies, you might want to see some of that man-ass and that dick, but I prefer to stay away from it myself. What do you think about the dick over there, Scary Perry?
Well,
Do you like the dick wizard? Oh,
I don't know about the dick.
you're never going to live that down. Just wait till I get a soundboard, then I'm going to be using it all the time. So,
That sounds weird, but all right, whatever. Float your boat.
you remember the Halloween 2? I'm going to soundbite the shit out of that line.
Horrible movie?
Movie's better than you think. Anyways, moving on. Not to retread old ground.
Stop retreading old ground.
So he then slashes Andrea across the face and she runs away screaming. And we get a nice little shot of the bloody pool water with Terry saying, "Bad, Greg, bad." So the operator finally just gives up on the mom and hangs up as her breakdown continues. And I'll commend Louise Lasser again here for her great performance here. Meanwhile, Artie and Karen are walking on the wooden bridge on the trail, and they're shooting the shit. Artie remarks about him getting dumped and says he's a survivor. I'm like, maybe not for long. So he asks what's the story between her and Simmons, and she says it's like I'm not even around half the time, and says that you and I are like best friends. I'm like, so Artie is stuck in the friend zone with Karen. Well, he won't have to worry about that for much longer. So she asks if she will go and talk to him for her. So he says sure, but we get a jump scare, another one of the few jump scares in this, as Terry grabs her legs from underneath, and they run off, and he catches up and says sorry for just now and earlier. So Artie Fonzarelli here goes to leave them alone. That's not his real last name, but he kind of reminds me of like a Fonzie type character.
Hey.
Hey, he kind of seems like an Italian. Terry says thanks for watching his girl, and Artie remarks that he's a real sweetheart, you know that? I'm like, yeah, Artie is squarely stuck in the friend zone here. So Terry tells Karen that they haven't had a chance to be alone, so they kiss. So he's like, let's go back to my house. And he's like, okay. So Artie gets in his convertible, but Todd pops up from the back seat, and he tells him that Terry is really the crazy one. He's like, okay, sure. And so he points a gun at him and says, you have to help me. And Artie responds, whatever you say, they call me Mr. Helper. He's kind of got like that deep, gruff, like New York Italian accent there.
Yeah. Wise guy.
That Jacksonville accent.
Yeah, how it's in Jacksonville, I have no idea. So Artie gets in his convertible, and then they... Oh, yeah, I already said that. So back at Terry's, her and Karen, they're smooching on the couch, and Artie, meanwhile, in the car is trying to tell Todd to stay calm. Before Terry can get to second base, though, the doorbell rings, and Terry goes and opens the door, and Artie's there and tells him it's Todd. So he's standing behind Artie, and he raises the revolver he's got, but then he gets cold feet and he runs away. So he had a chance to end the movie right there, but the director said, we haven't hit the runtime yet to make a feature-length film, so we gotta keep going. Actually, I don't know what point in the movie we're at. I think you only need an hour to be a feature-length film. Not sure at what point in the movie we're at yet, but...
You got enough notes to make a novel.
So Terry says he's got to be stopped. So him and Artie take off after him, and they go back to the wood bridge from earlier. So they find a bunch of potential weapons, saws, forks, etc., plus the blood-covered machete. And then Terry remarks, that isn't cranberry sauce, Artie. I'm like, no, I keep telling you it's corn syrup. Jeez, you gotta remember what they make blood from in these movies. Terry says, I see him, and Artie says, where? So he turns his back on Terry, and that's a big mistake. However, it is funny, though, because I actually do see something behind them that pokes out from the trees, and I just want to know who is this person or thing that keeps ending up in these shots, because I think they're like almost in like a white sweater or something. I swear, I don't know if you noticed that, but I swear there is somebody standing back there that poked out for a second and then they go back in.
I'm sure it's...
I don't know if it's a goof or... So...
I'll figure it out here.
I put keeps getting in these shots, so I don't know if maybe I saw him earlier in a shot. I'm not sure. But we got kill number 7, stick a fork in Artie, because he's done. So Terry jams the 2-pronged fork into Artie's neck, and blood spraying everywhere. The budget for the blood for this movie must have been a ton, probably at least half the budget, because they use it a lot. Karen, so she goes out to the backyards to look for the guys. So Terry is walking through the woods, and he keeps saying it's not cranberry sauce. I'm going to keep telling him it's corn syrup, you dumbass. So Karen finds him, splattered in blood, carrying the machete, and she asks what happened, and asks if he's alright. He's like, sure I'm alright.
Let me backtrack you.
Sure.
It is a goof.
Oh, you found it?
Just before Terry stabs Artie, it's a cat, a crew member.
Ah, that's funny.
So poor Artie goes from the friend zone to the dead zone.
There you go. See, maybe, I'm telling you, maybe I should replace you with J Bones. He might be a better co-host.
To make better pancakes.
I'll haunt your dreams.
So she asks, what is that thing? And he says it's Todd's. Then that he's gone crazy and is killing people over the complex. But he's really happy and upbeat while saying this. Like, nothing abnormal about that. So she says they should go to his house and call the police. And he's like, call the police? And he's like, this thing has gone totally out of hand. I'm like kind of like Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh.
Yeah, see, this kid got it this time. This kid finally got one of my references. Bert, I think this thing has gotten a little out of hand. Can't wait to talk about that one someday. I might do it with no notes. That's how well I know that movie.
I know that movie. I'm breaking the mic right now.
So. Also, I kind of noticed this. I don't know if this was ever... You okay there with your mic malfunction?
No, I'm breaking the mic.
Jeez.
Go
ahead.
Jeez. This is exactly why I should replace you as co-host. Can't keep your hands off the equipment. God, I wish I had the sound bite. I would be playing it right there.
Yeah, that's definitely it.
Well, I do have the sound bite, but I said I wish I had a soundboard. I gotta...
Keep your hands off your equipment.
Remember to sign up for that Patreon to help make the budget... Or help make this low-budget podcast not so low-budget. And then we can get things like a soundboard and better microphones.
Both my equipments.
I got some new mics that I'm working on, so...
Oh, you do?
Use them. Yeah.
Well, then tell me about it.
Yeah. I got to figure out...
replacing me.
I got...
Shh.
Don't tell
I
Scary
get a mustache injury, J Bones, and this guy wants to replace me.
Don't tell him I'm replacing him with Scary Pod. I broke him out of the mental institution. What? Anyways, I feel like... I don't know if this is... for the rest of the movie too, but at least in this scene, I feel like Terry sounds like Jerry Seinfeld here. He's like, Todd's gone totally crazy. What's with all the airline food? I don't know why, but I just noticed that he kind of sounds like Jerry Seinfeld. I know my Jerry Seinfeld's terrible. I told you I can do like 2 accents. I can do Steve Irwin and what was the other accent I said last time that always just devolves into Steve Irwin?
You always do what's his name?
Donald Pleasance?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do generic British guy accent, and then Steve Irwin, and then Russian that turns into Steve Irwin, and German that turns into Steve Irwin.
What about Terry as Donald Pleasant?
Hold on, I gotta build up to it. Don't you see? He's gone crazy, and he's killing people over the complex. That's the best I could do without being my Donald
What do you
Pleasance
think, Jay Bones? Do you like that?
I don't think it was as good as my other Donald Pleasance from before.
Not as good as the previous.
I was nailing it in the other ones.
Yeah,
I
you were in the Halloween zone.
Yeah, I was in the zone for that one.
Yeah, you need some more preparation.
Yeah. So he agrees that they're going to go call the police, but then turns around and tries to swing the machete at her as he tells her he loves her. I'm like, he's got the murder boner again.
Machete kill.
So, but she dodges and runs away. A typical final girl chase ensues here. So the music kicks up, and it's totally awesome 80s score here. The...
Did you write that one down?
No, but I remember it.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not doing it right, I can tell, but if I was watching it, I could probably imitate it a lot better. But I might be able to do this next one, because I do have another one coming up here.
Okay.
So she runs to one of the doors and screams for help, and no one's there. So she goes and hides in one of those patio closets. I think it's the same one from earlier.
The patio closet.
The patio closet. A little fun in-joke there. Terry comes up, and he's checks the sliding door, and then slowly approaches the closet, and the music starts to build up with this sound that keeps getting louder. But
Sounds
then...
like a Wookiee there. Or like Yogi Bear or something.
I can't do it justice, but it's awesome. It's 80s to the max. So then at the last second, though, as he's about to open the door, he just gets this big smile and then just turns around and walks away, and the music cuts out. A very nice subversion of our expectations there. So we...
You got expectations for this movie?
Well, no, because you expect him to open the door, so it subverts our expectations. I did. I saw this before we decided to review it, so I knew what it was about.
Be a cheater.
We don't just review movies we've never seen.
That pancaker is a cheater.
So we see what the mom's doing again. So she's back using the phone, and she thinks she has finally gone through, but she dialed the wrong number. So in the closet, Karen turns around, and there's this like plastic tarp that was hiding a strung-up Jackie, falls down. So now she sees Jackie, and she gasps, and she backs out of the closet. So she backs into Terry, lounging on the lounge chair with Artie's corpse in this lawn chair with Terry moving his arms, and he just starts laughing hysterically, and she asks him why he's doing this and then runs off. And Terry remarks, "You're no fun. You're no fun at all." And he sounds a lot like a 4-year-old, almost like he's regressing or maybe never grew up mentally.
Psycho killer.
All right.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? Bum, 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 bum. You better run, 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 run away from Terry.
Hey, who sings that song?
I think Pod did it.
Pod? Let's
Yeah.
keep it that way.
All right.
It sounds like David Bowie. If he was high.
There's a high David Bowie.
Where was
He's
I
the man
here?
who sold the world. All right, good. Just keep.
So she runs to a door and calls for help. And we got the little girl from earlier answers and asks, who is it? Meanwhile, we see Terry's shadow on a wall. We get a nice stinger. Nice, cool little shot there. So she tells her she's Karen Reed, a neighbor, and needs help. And she's like, but the man said not to let anyone in. And she says, you're going to hurt my kitty. I'm like, when the right advice sabotages someone else's chances of survival. Good for the little girl for listening, though. So she goes through the sliding doors on the MILF's place, and we hear the baby still crying. So she calls for help, and she checks on the baby, then goes into another room, and we got kill number 8, which happened earlier. So she sees Terry removing machete from the chest of the dead MILF's corpse, and she screams and runs away. So, and Terry gets a big old shit-eating grin on his face again and says, hi! And then we get a close-up on the damage to the MILF here. So she runs for the sliding doors, but then Todd appears, so she closes them and runs back. And then she sees Terry and runs back towards the bedroom. So she's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place between Terry and Todd here. So we get an intense stare down as the brothers meet face to face, quote, for the first time.
Uh-oh.
Not really face to face. What we got is a shot of them looking at each other, but it cuts to him and then it cuts to him, so they're never in the same shot together. Terry's in the living room and Todd looking through the glass doors. But, good old camera tricks rather than having to CGI shit. So Todd runs off while Karen uses the phone in the bedroom while hiding in the corner. Terry's machete slowly...
I
Man,
got a
you're
lot.
rooting
Sorry, a lot of
on
musical things are going
Yeah.
on right now in my head.
So she's hiding in the corner with the phone, and Terry's machete slowly creeps on the scene in the foreground as the music kicks in, and the camera focuses in on the machete, and Terry chuckles, and we got that woo 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 starting to build up again. So she gives him a good old nut tap here and pushes him aside and grabs the prop baby and runs for it. So it's definitely a prop here.
Nut tap,
not the worst
grab
prop baby ever.
run.
Because it's actually well concealed, but it's definitely better than the prop baby in American Sniper and Mother of Tears. One of those we might talk about eventually.
I've never seen any of those movies.
Oh, you haven't heard about the terrible prop baby in American Sniper? It's
Was this
it's
that
horrendously
Bradley
bad.
Cooper movie?
Horrendously bad.
Is that the Bradley Cooper, the one that just came out? Well, not just yeah.
Mother of Tears is a different story altogether. They throw a prop baby over a bridge, but it hits the bridge on the way down and the arm falls off.
Is there prop baby in Schindler's List?
I don't know.
That was weird.
All right, so Terry follows and he's in hot pursuit. Back at the Simon's place, Mom throws some stuff from the fridge away, but she finds Terry's blood-soaked shirt from earlier that he threw away. And I put down in my notes that I missed that earlier too when he threw it away, but he did stuff it in the garbage instead of just, destroying the evidence or trying to wash it. So we cut back to happy-go-lucky Terry strolling down the street following Karen. And then finally the mom's just like, well, instead of calling Brad, I could just walk 3 doors down and just go and check on him. So she runs to Brad's office and bangs on the sliding door. And like I said, why didn't she do this earlier instead of calling a million times?
Because I think she might be she had diabetes.
Obsessive,
She had
compulsive.
to eat a lot of food. I don't know.
Yeah,
Spike her
weird.
blood sugar
So,
with the wine, maybe?
who knows?
I don't know.
So she opens the door and tells him that Todd is here and is killing again. But she doesn't realize he's dead. But the blood on the desk is a dead giveaway. To be fair, her back is turned to the blood-stained curtains and all the blood on the walls. She's just looking at him. She goes silent here. So she finally touches him, and he falls forward and his head splits open, revealing his brain. This is fucking fantastic effect here. Good effects here from Ed French. Meanwhile, Karen enters the pool room, and locks the door and sits by the pool to rest. But we see Terry outside approaching, and he comes in through another door, so always check all the doors before you go into a place, people. You gotta lock them all. He gets on the diving board without her noticing it and starts jumping up and down on it. So she runs away into the bathroom/changing area and hides the baby in a cabinet under the sinks so Paul Rudd can find it later.
I told you.
Wink.
I told you. This all links to Halloween.
Oh. Anyway, so she looks for a place to hide and opens the sauna door to find Greg and Andrea's naked corpses covered in not cranberry sauce. So just like, oh man, them poor titties.
Was it gravy?
But we still don't see Greg's junk thanks to the corpses being strategically placed. I know that disappoints you over there, Scary Perry. Heyo.
You disappoint me over there, Mad Pancake.
So Terry stops jumping around on the diving board and goes to look for Karen, who hid in the bathroom. So Terry knocks on the sauna door and asks if you guys are still in there. Of course they are, so he says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. This guy's full fucking crazy now. He's lost it. I mean, he lost it a long time ago, but now he's just like having fun with it.
I don't think he's ever had it.
True. So he stops to take a quick leak at the urinals, and then he leaves. So meanwhile, Mom grabs Brad's revolver as the radio servant finally cuts off. So she tells Brad's corpse that she's going to make everything all right. Don't think you can bring him back to life. Maybe if you get like a weird Chinese statue that gives you like 3 wishes, kind of like some other story, like a monkey's paw story. I don't know.
One can dream.
Dream.
Cut it out over there, Sinatra.
What? That's not Sinatra.
Yeah, I know it's not Sinatra, but you keep singing all the time. So what are you, Frank Sinatra over there?
I am Job.
What?
I am Job.
I am Error? No? Alright. This ain't a video game podcast. We'll skip that reference. Back to Karen in her stall. So she creeps out.
Is this movie over yet?
It's almost over.
Jesus.
Yeah, there's a lot of action going on in this one. So she creeps out of the stall, but the baby starts crying and Terry pops out from another stall and takes a swing at her. But she dodges and it only nicks her shoulder. But something in this scene flies in the air. And I think a piece of the machete broke off when it hits the ground. I'm just like, whoops. Well, we only got enough money for one take. We'd spent all of our money on the blood budget, so it's staying in there. So Karen runs out and sees Todd holding a gun. So she hides behind him when Terry walks out. And he asks, are you going to try and shoot me again, Todd? So Karen grabs the gun out of Todd's hand and tells Terry that she'll kill him. So she pulls the trigger, but click, nothing happens. I'm like, jammed? Empty? Hangfire?
Tranquilizer gun?
So Terry tosses her aside, though, and tells Todd that he's been a bad boy. And he puts the machete in his hand and wipes blood on his face just like before. But this time, Todd screams, no, and tosses the machete aside and grabs Terry. But he punches Todd in the gut and tosses him in the pool, and then he jumps in after him so they can have a little pool wrestling fight. So they're struggling in the pool, and it looks like maybe Todd drowned. But Karen calls out to him as Terry gets out of the pool. But Todd's okay as he grabs Karen's hand, and she pulls him out of the water, on the opposite end of the pool from Terry. Meanwhile, Mom was standing by the door and comes into the pool house. Terry drops the machete he just picked up and says, Mom? So she raises the gun and shoots Terry. And then she lowers the gun. He takes a few steps forward and says, Mom, again? So she raises the gun and shoots again, hits him in the face, maybe even the eye. He's just like, grabs his face. So she shoots him 2 more times and he screams out again and falls in the pool. Blood's going everywhere in the pool. And then she shoots him again in the pool. So we cut to his corpse bloodying up the pool. And the music changes to a softer, gentler tone because, the evil's been defeated here. Karen goes to get the baby, and the mom approaches Todd, curled up on the floor, and says, oh, my baby. So they embrace, and she's like, it's okay, you're safe. It's just us again. No one else is ever going to separate us again. You're my world, etc., stuff like that. So Karen comes out and watches with the baby. It's a touching moment, but the mom, though, she says, it's just us, Terry. Uh-oh. The music switches back to the somber tone, and she says, Todd is gone. But Todd, he breaks it to her. He says, I'm Todd, and he keeps repeating himself to her. And she says, just screams out, no, and keeps screaming, no, no. And he stands up and slowly walks away and backs off. And she sits there in disbelief. And he goes up against the wall and keeps screaming, I'm Todd. She's also screaming it. Maybe, or maybe my God or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. It's hard to hear. So the mom here, she raises the gun to her temple, and it cuts away, and we hear a gunshot as the gun just flies across the floor with blood splattering everywhere on a close-up of just the gun. Karen, her mouth is just agape, and I'm thinking that she's thinking, it's like, well, that's my cue to exit, and she takes and runs off with the baby out of the pool house like, not my problem, and dips out. Todd stands there looking on as the police sirens start and get louder, and then we roll credits. And I put in here that because it says somewhere in the credits that we got some more Bakken again in this movie somewhere because it's credited. I don't know where there's Bach in this film, but there is Bach somewhere here.
I said Bakken. I was like, the hell?
Bach.
Bach.
J.S. Bach. Yohams.
Or I was like Vakken, like Vakken Open
Bach.
Air. We got the Vakken Open Air Festival in this movie.
All right.
Yeah,
And that's all I got. So roll credits. Got anything to say before we move on to the last bite?
Yeah, a little bit. There wasn't really a lot of information, like budget-wise, in this movie at all. I couldn't find anything. Rotten Tomatoes did not score any of their top reviewers or whatever.
Who cares about Rotten Tomatoes?
And IMDb gave it a 5.8 out of 10.
Who cares what they say, too?
You know what? I say it every time, and I'll continue to say it every time, and you'll like it. Now, go on to your...
All right. So now it's time for the last bite. Blood Rage is another amazing cult slasher gem from the 80s that I didn't find out about until years later. The gore effects are fantastic and a delight, with memorable kills resulting in all sorts of severed body parts and gallons of blood spewing everywhere. The score screams 80s with its kicking synth beats, and in this film, I don't think it's used so much to add suspense like in other slashers, like Halloween, as it is to help amplify the intensity and the action of each scene, which fits the tone of this film perfectly. Because while other films are a slow, tense, suspenseful affair, Blood Rage starts off with the typical opening kill and doesn't take much time to ramp up from there, with the action remaining fast-paced and the body count piling up as the film crescendos into the third act. The plot, while not overly complex, serves as this interesting case study as it delves into the psyche of a family with varying degrees of mental issues, ranging from the mother in denial and her nervous breakdown, to the sheltered, repressed, and socially awkward Terry wrongfully accused of murder, to the completely psychotic Terry with his carefree attitude as he slices and dices his friends and neighbors with ease and no remorse. It's almost as if it's still just a childish game to him, and, like a child, he can get away with it by simply framing his brother. The performances of Luis Lasser and Mark Sopper are great at accomplishing this on the screen, especially Sopper's dual performances. One minute he's the aloof Todd, the next he's the selfish evil twin Terry hiding behind a smile. The performance of the others ranges in quality, but are good enough for the supporting roles they play and don't need to be fleshed out too much as they are destined for the body bag anyways. Overall, Blood Rage is one of those fun, splattery slasher flicks that is quick-paced and keeps you entertained with plenty of great kills and effects and some WTF moments as you watch this dysfunctional family implode. It certainly stands out in a slasher genre filled with many mediocre cookie-cutter films, especially from this era. So, I give Blood Rage, aka Slasher, aka Nightmare in Shadow Woods, which I recommend watching the regular full uncut version. I think you can track down the Shadow Woods version somewhere probably, but it's got a lot of the gore cutouts, so don't watch that one. So overall, I give it a rating of 4.5 pancakes. This is definitely a cult gem of a slasher film. It's definitely worth your time in watching if you're into 80s slasher films. And what is your last bite, Perry?
All right. So, let me get into my pod mode.
Into your Leonard Maltin
My pod
review
mode.
mode.
No. Overall, I did enjoy the movie. I really don't think that, like, they were being serious when they filmed this movie to be a slasher movie. But somebody could definitely label this as a comedy horror movie.
Yeah, it knows what it is though, and it's having a good time with it. Continue.
I don't know if it knows what it is.
It knows. Trust me.
Does it know? All right. Well, all right. Okay. Assuming it knows. Yeah.
You're alone. Oh, wrong movie.
But the kills in the movie were great. The acting was very well done, especially by Louise Lasser. I think she did the best acting in the movie. I wouldn't say it's like one of the greatest slasher movies I've ever seen, there's some stuff in it that is just odd, like the weird narration with the doctor scene, and then some of the flow of it. I don't know, because some of the comedy kind of throws it off. I don't know. It's just hard for me to get to know what they knew of the comedy. But other than that, with the acting and the kills and just it all put together, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 cannolis out of 5. Would I recommend this for sure? Yes. Would somebody like, oh, there's no Thanksgiving horror movie? Oh, yes, there is. I mean, I could.
I graciously skipped Thanksgiving. I'm not sure I'm ready for that
Well,
yet.
yeah, I understand that one.
Maybe next year.
That's more in the popular culture, but this should be the number one movie. If you're like, hey, I need a horror movie for Thanksgiving. Oh, well, you got to watch Blood Rage.
If you want to actually watch something decent. I know Thanksgiving is intentionally made to be bad and low budget, but I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet.
But yeah, this is something like I would watch it, annually on Thanksgiving, and yeah, it's a solid 3.5. I mean,
yeah, it's a fun little film. Well made.
You know what?
Good effects.
I'm not going to go up to 4. Yeah, I'm not going to go up to 4, but I'm going to definitely give it some sprinkles on it and some pistachios at the end.
I saved the syrup for the 5 pancakes that go above and beyond.
But this is a solid movie, not the best, but very solid.
I thoroughly enjoy it. I think it's one of the better slasher films out there for sure. Like I said, in a sea of imitators.
It's definitely unique.
I would say it's better than Halloween 2 because I obviously gave it a half more pancake.
Well, yeah,
Halloween 2 is a solid film though.
I gave it an extra 1.5 stars if you're gonna go that route.
Anyways, anything else you got there, Scary Perry, before we sign off?
I mean, this movie makes me want to have some popcorn, pumpkin pie with a nice big glass of milk. I mean, I think you should have that while you watch this.
And it's not cranberry sauce.
Yeah. What about the cranberries?
Well, I mean, you could have some cranberry sauce, and you can have some Pabst if that's the beer that Brad had, and maybe some stuffing, because there was even stuff.
Oh, I think it might have been a Budweiser. I'm not sure.
But either way, you guys.
Well, I'm the Mad Pancaker. This bud is for you, man.
Hey, I used that joke already.
All right. Well, I'm allowed to have some cheesy moments.
So I guess you both agree that this movie's no Thanksgiving turkey.
This guy. Go back to the kitchen. We need those pancakes. Lots of syrup.
I like the cinnamon swirl pancakes, like the Cinnabon. Those are my favorite.
All right. So anyways,
yeah.
Right. So I'm the Mad Pancaker.
And I'm Scary Perry.
And remember to like us on social media and share the podcast as much as you can. And also, if you're able to support us on Patreon at patreon.com/themadpancaker. And join us next time as we review a movie where Santa eats out a woman.
Ho, ho, ho.
Till next time, check please.
Delorese!
The International House of Horror.